I didn't hear anything. Now I
There it
got
goes.
it.
That's the
Recording in
second step that
progress.
Jim was talking about. Okay, yeah, I've never done
Gotcha.
that before.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm going to call to order the, I guess, January 24th, 2024 special meeting of the Oak Hills Park Authority. We really have one order of business today. And I'm just going to do a roll call of the folks that are here, and just say aye or raise your hand, and we'll recognize that you're here. Um, Start off with Rich Dellinger,
Here?
Gary Leeds,
Here.
Jen McAllister,
Here.
Denise Brown,
Here.
and Joe Androsco is here. We also have present Jim Shell, the superintendent, Paul Alexander, the golf pro, and Mark Gartner, the controller. We do have to go to public comment next. And I don't see anyone in the attendees list. So Mark, can you just confirm that?
Confirmed. There's no other person to speak.
Gotcha. Okay, so then I think we can close public comment.
Ooh.
And the screen just changed, but that's okay. So next order up is the third item. It's the bunker project proposal selection. And Jim Shell, I think you have a couple of points to talk us through, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Okay, so what we're proposing is what we want to do is rebuild 15 bunkers. Some of the ones that haven't been touched in forever, at least since I've been here, we're calling new construction because essentially we're going to get new drainage and possibly some new shaping of the edges and stuff like that out of them. The ones that were touched in 2015 and 16, we're going to call renovations. The drainage is likely good, and all that's needed is an edge of sod around each bunker, check the drainage, put down this capillary concrete surfacing, and add sand. We're also looking to put new tees on number 1 and number 8. The reason being they are too small and or too shaded, like number 8. If we expand the size of these tees, we can spread the wear out much better, and they will be more likely to make it 2 seasons without having to be resodded. We've got 3 bidders. One's name is Turco. They did a lot of work here in 2015, 16, and 17. One is Stonehenge. He's a great dude. He is very down to earth. He's not a nickel and dimer kind of guy. And the other is US Pitch Care, which consists of a bunch of former superintendents who know what things are supposed to look like and what the end result is supposed to look like. And I've called on references for the 2 that I don't have experience with. They both have excellent references for the project that we're doing. So I don't have any doubt that either one of them is fully capable of doing a good job for us. And it just so happens that US Pitch Care has come in with the lowest price of $159,617. So that essentially beats out the next highest price by $16,000. And it's a competitive bid, so that's what I'm going to try to get approved for, to draw up a contract with them sooner than later, so that we have them on our schedule. They have us on their schedule. Any questions?
Just for completeness, Jim, the third bid, without stating a number, was just much, much higher, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the reason being is, these construction companies, they book up their schedules very fast. They don't necessarily need the work. So they put a real high price on it, and if they get it, then it's worth it to them because they're gonna have to go through some hoops to have staffing and equipment to actually come and do the job. And,
Yeah.
you know,
This all went through the city's formal RFP process, correct?
correct.
So they got the exact same
Invitation
scope.
to bid,
Right,
invitation.
yeah, right, right. Invitation to bid. But they all got the exact same readout of the same scope
Yes,
to inform what they were going to do and what materials and mobilization costs and all would be, right?
exactly. Yep.
Because my first reaction when I saw 3 bids, 2 kind of coupled down here in the range and 1 up here, was is there something these folks are seeing in the job that these 2 aren't? And that was a source of concern. But as I thought about it more, I mean, we have 2 that are sort of right in range with each other. It's just 1 is a little cheaper,
And
and
frankly,
both references check out.
I don't mean to interrupt, but on the references that I've called, I've compared numbers with a couple of other courses.
Yeah.
Who has had similar work done, and we're doing okay with the
Okay.
numbers that we have. And the one that was high, they were competitive and actually did some of that work. So it just proves that the reason that their number is so high is that they're busy.
Jim, can you just describe, is there a warranty period? How does that work a little?
Good question. We're gonna find a little bit more about that, about the workmanship. Once we get the contract from the company, I think that it's gonna be like a boilerplate kind of contract for this work. You know, they've done it a lot and they have them all set and ready. And obviously we'll send it to Randy and have it looked over. What was the question? What was the question exactly?
Is there a warranty?
What
Oh,
the
okay.
warranty?
Okay, right.
On it,
Sure.
because when we put down the capillary system, it's sort of like the cement.
The
and
capillary
that
system,
lasts, 50 years, what's the
yeah,
lifetime that we have on that?
sure. As long as we use a certified installer, the capillary system is warranted for 10 years. But, like a good car, the warranty doesn't go near as far as you actually need it to replace something, because this stuff is probably going to last a minimum of 20 years. And, maybe the sand might need replacing before the liner does. But the product, I forget how old it is. It's maybe 12 to 15 years old, and it's been described as bomb-proof. So,
Okay, that's encouraging.
Jim, were the references that you were able to speak to, were they all recent work, or was there a good breadth of
within the
some that
last
have
couple of
been-
years, and
But
they
are
were
there some that were like 4 or 5 years and they were able to speak to the durability?
no, this is the last couple.
Okay.
And Jim, what's your guess when this work could be done? What's the time frame? The best guess you could get? that it would
It's
be-
interesting. I talked to him about that the other day, and we were gonna try to shoot for September for the bunkers. And there's some materials coming out of the bunkers that we may want to mix in with native soils here to make a root zone mix for the tees. And I figured the tees would happen after our last outing, so as not to disrupt
Mhm.
any paying big events that it'll only be the bunkers that are getting worked on.
Right.
And about how long does the project expect to last?
They would probably be done by the end of October, easily,
So it's
Paul,
back-
do you
if
foresee
they
any?
start in September.
Yeah. Do you foresee any major concerns with the September, October timeframe for that project?
Mute.
Oh, you're mute.
It's going to impact golfers, we know, but is it going to be a huge disruption or just a
I don't
minor
think
inconvenience?
it'll be a huge disruption. I mean, honestly, a lot of courses do work, and more golfers like to come out and see what's going on, what's next.
Yeah. Well, they shouldn't be in the bunkers anyway, right?
Right. Well, yeah. We can't
Well,
say
it's
that to the
free-
golfers, though.
It's a free lift. It's ground under repair.
Sure.
There you go. There you go.
Jim, when we were paving this fall, a couple of holes had some action on it and things like that. Is that how they do the bunkers? They do a couple at a time, or
Yeah, there will probably be workers on at least 2 holes at once they
Okay.
start.
right?
So
That dampens the impact, I think. Yeah. Reduces the impact.
yeah,
Okay.
Jim?
yes.
So for the sand, you're trying to find a color that's a soft yellowish buff white. Do you know like how long that color stays? Is there any
Well,
depending on weather or is it
that's
just?
the beauty of the capillary concrete. Once you have that system underneath the sand, the bunkers don't wash out nearly as easily. I mean, a lot of people say they'll never wash out, but I'm sure it does happen at some point. And if they don't wash out, there's no erosion of native soil into the sand. So the color will last a hell of a lot longer than we've seen here. I mean, if you go out on the course right now and you look at some bunkers that are built flat, their color is still really good. But the ones with steep banks where water can wash that sand down, the soil is also washed into the sand, causing it to look dirty and compact and just be nasty, have rocks in it, stuff like that. That's all from heavy rains, and we had a lot of that this fall.
So will
And
that
Jim,
still happen or that won't happen now because of the drainage?
Because of the system underneath the bunker, I'd be surprised if it happened at all.
Jim, that's a good
Yes.
question on the sand, Denise. So the sand what we had an awful lot of rocks in it. I don't know what if that was a different type of sand that was bought or whatever, but I assume this will be a pure sand with no rocks at all, or
Yeah.
or what?
Gary, when we buy the sand, there's no rocks in it.
Okay,
It's the fact that it goes through all these weather events that causes the rocks to
to get into it.
into it. Yep.
Okay. And just a maintenance issue, and since Jim's not here or whatever, but the way I was taught to go into a sand trap was always from the rear.
The
Is
low
it-
side,
Right.
wherever the low side is, that's where you
Yeah.
go in.
Is there any way we can at least try and teach our golfers that's the way to get in, and we ought to think about that
Yes,
as
we
part
have
of
time
our
to think
rules.
about that. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
because
I
that
agree. I mean, it could be as easy as putting a sign on the first hole bunkers, do not climb out here, something like that.
yeah, or just it would be nice to get that as Jim proposed that little card or whatever. I don't know if it went in every cart or whatever, but it would be good to have that on the first hole, and in the carts in bold letters, if we can.
Sure.
Anyway, so just a thought to give Jim.
Okay, any other questions on the 3 proposals and the rationale for the recommendation that Jim is making?
I have one more question, Jim.
Sure.
So you were here in 2015-16, right?
Yep.
Okay, and so they used the other company that's the higher price one right now for that renovation and stuff?
Correct.
Were they more reasonable back then? And so now it's just different, or you don't?
They were certainly the most competitive. I mean, that project did go through the city fully. It was an RFP, a complete, and run by the city, administrated by the city. The money was administrated by the city. So yeah, it was the low bid. And I mean, we know what they can do. It just so happens that they're booked up. Yeah.
And
Any other items, questions? From a financial perspective, Mark, this will go into FY25, right? Because that's when the expense will be incurred.
Yeah, and that's something that we'd have to have a little a small meeting at over the next few months, because right now what we had, just very tentatively put into that capital improvement budget is already $240,000, something around there. So we would just need to see if we're going to spend 200 on this. I don't think we're going to spend 460 in total. So we just need to figure out what needs to get moved around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's prudent because we're going to kind of enter into a contract fairly far in advance. We're talking about 8-9 months in advance at this point. We should maybe, and I'm just kind of airing this out for the first time in my mind, or saying it for the first time. Maybe we should think of one of the CDs that we have as kind of earmarked for this project. The numbers are kind of similar. So we should just say, you know what, as of the approval of this, as of the entrance into the contract, that money is earmarked for this, and we're not going to touch it for any other reason.
Oops. Yeah.
Which will be replaced next fall, most likely, as long as we have a good season.
Sure.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Joe. Makes kind of sense.
Yeah.
And I just dug in a little bit too, just to keep in mind that cash at this past June 30th, at the end of this past fiscal year, was in total $645,000. Our budgeted cash at the end of this fiscal year was $506, but the way that we're trending up, I'm guessing we're going to be about $615,000. So just $30,000 shy of last year. And as you know, by September of this past year, we had built up quite a bit, up to 900,000. So just in regards to cash on hand, we will be absolutely fine to fund this and still have money on the side.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to accept the proposal or the recommendation of the proposal?
I'll recommend that we accept the bid from US Pitch Car
Care.
Pitch Care, at the amount per the contract.
$159,617.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second that. And let's just go around. Just a signal yay, nay, or abstain, please, as I call your name. Rich Dellinger,
Yay.
Denise Brown,
Yay.
Gary Leeds,
Yay.
Jen McAllister,
Yay.
and Joe Andrasco is a yay. So we have 5 votes. That's all we need to pass business. And Jim, you can go ahead and write up a contract or have Randy work on a contract and proceed.
Okay. Thank you all for showing up.
Thanks for your
Congrats,
patience.
Jim.
Thanks for your patience, Jim.
No worries, we got it.
Well,
Good night. Oh,
Final
wait,
order
no.
is adjournment. I
Sorry.
move to adjourn. Any
second.
opposed?
Second. Third.
All right. Good night,
No
everybody. Thank you
opposed.
so much.
No opposed. Sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Bye.
Have a good night,
All
everybody.
right. Good night.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.